Whether you've got YouTube Premium or not, you've probably felt it. Something has changed about how YouTube behaves. If you're not a premium user, the ads have gotten longer, more frequent, and less capable. And if you are a premium user, you've probably noticed how hard YouTube is pushing everyone else to upgrade and become a premium user. YouTube is basically asking millions of users again and again to stop watching ads. Now, I want you to stop and think about this for a second. YouTube makes most of its money through ads. It's around $40 billion every single year. That is how it works, that is how it pays its creators, and that is how it grew. So the question is, why is it now trying so hard to get rid of the very thing that it was built on? Now, that's not a question most of us ask, even if we spend hours on YouTube every single day. But once you do, it suddenly hits you and it opens up a far deeper story. Because this might not be a random strategy change, this could be a sign that the entire model of how most of the internet makes money, which is through advertisements, is slowly shifting, and YouTube might just be the first one to quietly move here. So for quick context, YouTube Premium gives you a bunch of features. You don't need to watch ads, there is background play, you can download videos offline, and you also get access to YouTube Music. But for now, let's focus on just one feature of YouTube Premium, which is no advertisements. And that is because that is where the real change is happening. The thing is, the moment somebody pays for YouTube Premium, they completely vanish from YouTube's ad ecosystem. YouTube advertisers cannot target them no matter how hard they try. And that, mind you, is a very big deal because premium users are not your average casual viewers. They are loyal, they tend to have higher income, and they are more engaged on the YouTube platform. So therefore, they watch more, they spend more time, and they are generally more valuable. Basically, they are exactly the kind of users that advertisers want to reach. And yet, in just 2023, YouTube added 2 crore new premium subscribers globally. That is 2 crore of its best users completely removed from the ad economy. Now, I know at first it seems like a very weird problem to create for your own self. But the thing is, when you zoom out a little bit and think about YouTube as a global business, things start to make sense. So let's understand what's exactly happening. This video, by the way, is supported by Zerodha 01 Media Network. My name is Anurag Bansal, and let's get into it. See, YouTube operates across more than 100 countries, and its ad revenue is not uniform. In fact, it's not even close to being uniform. In some markets like the US, advertisers pay more than 800 rupees for every 1000 views. But in other countries like India, it's usually under 50 rupees on an average. And of course, there are dozens of countries in between where ad revenue sort of swings very wildly based on local events, elections, or even the sports calendar. Now, the thing is, for YouTube, this kind of revenue fluctuation is obviously very hard to manage. The money is of course great in some places, but it is terrible in other places, and it is completely unpredictable everywhere else. And that is where YouTube Premium becomes really important, not just as a product, but actually as a solution. Because unlike advertisements, YouTube Premium gives YouTube a stable and recurring income. So whether you're in India or Germany or Brazil or Japan or any other country, you pay a fixed fee every single month, no matter what. It's consistent, it does not depend on advertiser demand, festival spikes, or even macroeconomic uncertainty. And to understand this a little bit better, let's take a look at India specifically. See, we make up nearly 20% of YouTube's global user base, which is the largest in the world by far. But when it comes to YouTube Premium subscriptions, we are just at about 4%. Now that's obviously a massive gap, and it tells you two interesting things. One, we watch a lot, and second, we don't really like paying. So the thing is, from YouTube's perspective as a business, even if a small percentage of Indian users start paying a fixed monthly amount in exchange for removing ads, it could bring in more revenue for YouTube as compared to showing the same people 1,000 low-paying advertisements. It's a very simple trade-off: unreliable and seasonal advertisement money versus steady and predictable subscription cash. And India might actually be the most prominent example of it because, like I said earlier, we are the largest audience of YouTube. But there is another way to think about what YouTube is doing here. See, YouTube is not completely ditching advertisements. It's actually just changing who gets monetized and how. See, for low-value users, which are the ones who will not pay or whose ad views do not earn much money for YouTube, YouTube sticks to the old playbook. They show more advertisements, they increase the frequency, and they push reach. But for high-value users, who are the ones who watch more, who spend more time, and who come from stronger economies, YouTube's goal is very simple: extract more value directly. In a way, Premium is YouTube's version of tiered monetization. It's very similar to how gaming apps charge their most loyal users for upgrades, or airlines charge business travelers for extras even though the baseline experience still remains the same with or without them. Basically, everyone is still using the same platform, but how much you're worth to YouTube now really depends on how you're willing to pay, or for that matter, tolerate. But either way, even if we ignore YouTube Premium for a moment, something else is changing quietly below the surface, and it's really interesting. See, YouTube is not just focusing on what people are watching, but also where people are watching it. Because more and more users are now moving to a bigger screen where advertisements, as we traditionally know them, do not really work. That bigger screen is your TV, and according to YouTube CEO Neil Mohan, a big chunk of YouTube's audience base now watches videos on their TV. And the thing is, this segment is growing extremely fast. Do you know globally, more than 1 billion hours of YouTube is watched on TV every single day? That basically makes YouTube, without any exaggeration, the biggest TV channel in the world. But there is a catch here. When people switch from phones to their televisions, the entire advertisement experience breaks. Think about it. You cannot really click on a TV screen. There is no install now button, and there is absolutely no way to easily click on links. And that is a very interesting problem, because digital advertising, at least the kind that has been built on the modern internet, is almost completely based on clicks, conversion, and measurable action. But on a TV, you are only passively viewing. There are no clicks, no conversions, and no way to track performance. It's just passive brand exposure, just like how it used to be in the older days of TV. And that means performance marketing, in which advertisers pay for specific results, which is also the life of platforms like YouTube, all of a sudden stops working the way it was meant to. And that brings us to a very, very weird situation, which is that on one side, users are willing to pay to remove ads completely, and on another side, people are still okay looking at ads, but they are increasingly watching them on screens where their interactions just cannot be tracked. So advertisers, which are the main sources of revenue for YouTube, and thus the creator, obviously, are stuck between two dead ends. They have lost their most valuable users, and they cannot meaningfully measure the rest of them anymore. And that, in many, many ways, is almost like a fundamental crack in the business model that built the entire internet as we know it. Because let's not forget, the biggest tech giants of our generation were built on advertising. You can think about Meta, Google, Amazon, ByteDance, and whatnot. They all rose to power on the promise of targeted, measurable, high ROI digital advertising. That has basically been the default model of monetization for the last 2 decades. So when YouTube, which is arguably one of the most important advertisement platforms in the world, suddenly starts breaking this particular model from both the ends, it could be a big signal that the advertisement era as we know it might be ending very soon. What are your thoughts? Let's talk in the comments down below. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this analysis, please do hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more, because I promise you there is a lot more such stuff that's coming soon. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.